What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Now today's video is going to be short and it's going to be a little bit out of frustration. So I'm going to be talking about what is a home report in the UK and why it is important. Now before I actually tell you the reason why I'm doing this video, let me just go over the basics of what a home report is here in the UK. Now a home report is a document that tells you everything that you need to know about a house that you're buying. It's split into three parts. The first part is a single survey and evaluation, the second part is a property questionnaire, and the third part is an energy report. And finally, it is mandatory for the seller to provide this to any buyer within 9 days of asking for it. Now that we've established what a home report is, let me tell you the reason why I'm doing this video. So I live in a major developed city here in the UK where the real estate and the residential property market is tough and booming. Although we're not as high as London, we are up there. So a number of years ago, we were on the property market, as it were. We were looking to buy a house and we looked at many properties and we were just being thrown out of the water. We were being outbid left, right and centre. Although our bids were substantially high, they were just not being accepted. We were always being outbid. Now, I don't have any issues with that. That's just common. That happens all the time. It was just our luck. We just missed out on said property. However, what would happen is that the developer or their solicitor would get back in touch with us a few weeks later to ask if we were still interested in the property. Now, if that happens once or twice, fair enough, but this happened on several occasions, possibly 6 or 7 times. And I went back to the developer and I asked, why is this happening? Because it's happened with other properties that we've also viewed. And the developer or the solicitor says to me that the third party who initially secured the property, put in the highest bid, as it were, didn't read the home report. And their understanding was that they could just outbid the next person, put in the highest bid possible, because the mortgage would cover the whole lot. And this was happening quite a lot, not just with myself, but a lot of people that were on the property market at the time were just being outbid ridiculously because people who didn't read the home report or didn't understand it were just putting in ridiculous bids, thinking that they just could put a simple deposit down, whatever they wanted, and just borrow the rest. And it just does not work like that. And let me explain why. So if you've seen a house that was £100,000 and you were really interested in it and it was a hot property, there's a lot of people interested, say there was 10 people interested, and the person who came second to last bid 110, you bid 200 because you wanted that property and you wanted to secure it. However, the home report value was £100,000, so the seller was actually selling the house for the value it is worth. So the home report value was £100,000, their asking price was £100,000. For you to then go in and bid £200,000, there's nothing wrong with that. However, the other £100,000 that you've bid on top of the asking price, on top of the home report valuation, is something that you as the buyer needs to cough up. You can't borrow against that. Now, why is that? And the reason is actually very simple. Say you bought that property for £200,000 and you borrowed the whole lot. The bank gave you the money and that was something that just can be done. And say you couldn't keep up with the payments and you foreclosed on the house. Now, if you foreclosed on the house that you've borrowed £200,000 against, the bank can't actually sell that property for £200,000. It can only sell it for £100,000, or depending on the valuation of that property, if it was a year later and it's now worth 105, they can only recoup £105,000 off that property, meaning the other 95,000 they've just completely lost. And the bank just doesn't play that game. It just doesn't do that. Hence, if a property is being sold at £100,000 because the home report value is £100,000, you can only borrow against the value of that property. Meaning, if you couldn't keep up with your payments and you were foreclosed, the bank could sell that property and recoup all the money back, although it would affect you in other ways and your credit and all the rest of it, but that's a separate matter. So what's the moral here? So if you see a property, read the home report, because that will tell you what that property is valued at. As in, the developer has looked at many aspects, bedrooms, location, etc., to put a value onto that property, and that is what you can borrow it against. You can by all means bid well above that. However, you must remember it comes out of your pocket. You pay the difference. You can't borrow the difference. So what was actually happening is a lot of people were looking at £100,000 properties and thinking that they could just throw numbers around thinking that they could just bid as much as they can, which is true. You can bid as much as you can, but you can only bid as much as you can afford. You'll have an initial value of the house, and you'll have an initial deposit in the bank, and you'll have an initial borrowing for the remainder. Anything over and above that needs to come out of your pocket. That'll go towards the purchase price. It doesn't mean that you're throwing extra equity on the property. So if a property is £100,000, you put down a 20% deposit, you put down £20,000, you borrow the other £80,000. But say it was a hot property and a lot of people are interested, and some people are putting 10,000 on top, some people are putting 20,000. You can go in and put £200,000 on top, but you will need to pay that out of your own pocket, which in a way, from a home report valuation standpoint, would put you into negative equity of £100,000 because said property is worth £100,000. The fact that you've paid £200,000 for it, the other £100,000 has come out of your own pocket, so that's fine. It's not something that the banks lent to you, meaning that if you did foreclose on that, you would lose your own £100,000, not the banks, because they would just sell that for the current home report value of that property at the time and recoup their money. So that was just a short video. It was very, very interesting for me to see that a lot of people don't understand the importance of a home report value, and to them it's just another document that tells you about the house, and then they just leave it at that, and then they just go, and because they love the house, they get too emotionally involved in it, will just start throwing around numbers thinking that the bank will pick up the check and then they'll just be repaying the mortgage for the rest of their life, which is true. However, the bank will only lend you what that property is worth. Anything over and above that, you're free to spend as much money as you want. However, above the home report value will come out of your own pocket. So that's just some information for anyone that's currently looking to buy a property or put a deposit on a property or take a mortgage on a property. Always read the home report, always read what the property is valued at. Look at other aspects such as location, how many interested parties there are, how much similar homes in that area have sold for. So there's a lot of aspects that you can look at before you actually make a bid. However, remember, anything above the home report value will be something that you pay for. You can't borrow against it. The bank will not lend it to you for the reasons I've discussed in this video. So with that, we'll end the video. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.